Hello everybody, Nick here. Haven't uploaded a video in a while, but I wanted to talk a little bit about archetypes and children. Um, I was driving before, and I was thinking about I was just thinking about archetypes in general, like what they are, how we interact with them, you know, interact with them. Um, and I realized that archetypes are the way that children and adults can understand the same sort of energy. Not an energy in a new agey, I could feel your energy. The energy in this room is so good vibe. Not that sort of energy. I'm talking about like the energy behind a position, the 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 energy behind a title, the energy behind um, an interaction. You know, um, I guess it is kind of a new agey. It's a new agey word, but I think it's appropriate here. So I think that when we interact with children, um, they're still learning language, right? We might say certain words, certain phrases, certain things, and I'm sure that a lot of it goes over their head. It's in the same way that two adults can be talking, and we share this, we're both fully developed, have a fluent grasp of the English language, and even then, words, I might say something, and what a word means to me might be different than what a word means to you, and changes the way that sentence, that thought that I have is understood. But I think that when it comes to these um, archetypal uh, transfers of information, I don't think those layers matter as much. And I think that's the way that adults and children are able to look at the same thing and like um, know what's going on with it almost. I mean, this is off the cuff, so this might not be the best explanation. But like, think of like you know, when you tell a kid to like, let's say there's a young boy, right? You could say that you could be a young girl too, right? It doesn't really matter here. But let's say you're trying to get them to be strong. You're trying to get them to push through something that's difficult, despite possibly having failure ahead. And it could be jumping on a fucking rock. It could be jumping off this little ledge. It could be, putting your cup in the sink, for a kid. The things that are dragons, so to speak, to adults. To a kid, it's putting their toys away after they they play, or meeting a stranger, or getting dropped off at school. But how do we show kids what it means to be strong? We don't use words usually. I mean, we can sit there and explain like why it's important, why something has to be done, but the way that children understand is through watching someone behave and act a certain thing out. And that's what archetypes are. Archetypes are, well, we act them out, we live through them, we don't become them, we aren't them, but we act them out, we play the role, so to speak. That's a more existential side to this, but I do think that children are attuned to the archetypal expressions in a way that they can look at people's actions, behaviors, not even need words, not even, the story's right in front of them. The story is always, it's right there. You know, they don't need the story spoken to them. It's always playing out. Um, yeah, just something I thought, just an interesting concept. You know, I think that children are closer to the archetypes than adults are. And it's funny because as I get older, you know, as a kid, if we're close to the archetypes and we grow up and we stop noticing them, maybe. I feel like as I get older, I'm going full circle and starting to realize what these things are again. You know, maybe children are the answers to finding out what it means to really see the world as a story, as a continual story with all these moving parts and characters, elements, and literal elements, and I don't know. Either way, go read some Jung, read up on some archetypes, and if you got any thoughts on this, probably didn't, I don't think I explained it too great, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it short.